After 60, your body doesn't stop working, it just starts asking different questions. The answers most American doctors give you are the same tired routines. Walk more, lift light weights, maybe try some stretching if your knees allow it. Meanwhile, in a cluster of villages across Japan, people your age are moving in ways that seem almost impossible by Western standards. They're balancing on one leg while brushing their teeth. They're sitting down on the floor and standing back up without using their hands, dozens of times a day. They're walking backward up gentle hills, and their fall rates are a fraction of what we see in the United States. Here's what the research is starting to show. In some regions of Japan, the rate of mobility-limiting falls among people over 60 is nearly 60% lower than comparable populations in America. 60%. That's not a small difference. That's not genetics. That's not luck. That's a completely different approach to how the body is used after middle age, and almost no one in the U.S. medical system is talking about it. The movement I'm about to walk you through has been practiced in Japanese health centers and community programs for decades, but it remains virtually unknown in American senior fitness circles. It's not complicated. It's not expensive. It doesn't require a gym, and yet 99% of American seniors have never tried it, and most have never even heard of it. I'm going to show you 6 movements today, counting down from 6 to 1. Number 6 is something you probably think you're already doing, but you're doing it wrong, and that mistake is costing you stability every single day. Number 5 will feel awkward at first, almost embarrassing, but it's the fastest way to reset your spatial awareness and prevent the kind of fall that breaks a hip. Number 4 is so simple it sounds like a joke, but it targets a reflex that degrades silently after 50 and leads directly to emergency room visits. Number 3 is about your feet, and once you understand what's happening down there, you'll never look at a pair of shoes the same way. Number 2 is going to surprise you because it involves moving in a direction your body has probably forgotten, and relearning it can cut your fall risk in half within 2 weeks. And number 1, the exercise that 99% of U.S. seniors avoid, is a single daily practice that takes less than 3 minutes, requires nothing but a wall, and rebuilds the one physical skill that predicts how long you'll live independently. But before we get into the countdown, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment right now and tell me your age and where you're watching from. I want to know if you've ever heard of any Japanese movement practices for aging, or if this is completely new to you. Just age, location, and yes or no. Let's see who's here. Now let's get into it. Number 6. You think you're walking, but you're shuffling. Most American seniors, even the active ones, have developed a shuffle without realizing it. Your stride shortens. Your feet stay closer to the ground. Your arms swing less. It happens so gradually that you don't notice until someone points it out, or you trip over a threshold you've crossed 1,000 times. In Japan, there's a concept called shisen aruki, which translates roughly to gaze walking. It's not about looking down at your feet. It's about keeping your gaze up and forward, about 10 to 15 feet ahead, while you walk with intention. The idea is that where your eyes go, your posture follows. If you're looking down, your head drops, your shoulders round, your hips tilt forward, and your stride collapses. If your gaze is up, your spine lengthens, your chest opens, and your legs have room to swing. Research from institutions studying gait and aging has found that stride length is one of the strongest predictors of longevity and independence. A shorter stride is linked to higher fall risk, more hospitalizations, and earlier loss of mobility. And yet, stride length can be improved at any age with deliberate practice. It's not about speed. It's about range. Here's how you do it. Tomorrow morning, when you take your first walk, whether it's around the block or just to the mailbox, set a mental target about 12 feet ahead of you. Keep your eyes on that target. Don't look at the ground unless you're navigating an obstacle. Let your peripheral vision handle the terrain. As you walk, think about reaching forward with each step, not just shuffling forward. Imagine your foot is trying to step over an invisible line 6 inches in front of where it would normally land. You'll feel your hip flexors engage. You'll feel your glutes fire. That's the feeling of a real stride. I worked with a woman named Patricia, 72, former librarian, who came to me after a minor fall in her kitchen. No fracture, just a bad bruise, but it scared her. When I watched her walk, her steps were tiny, maybe 8 inches each. She was looking at the floor the entire time. I told her about Shisenaruki. I had her practice walking down a hallway with her gaze fixed on a clock at the far end. Within 2 weeks, her stride had lengthened by nearly 3 inches, and she told me she felt taller. She didn't just look safer. She felt safer, and that confidence loop matters more than most doctors realize. But here's the kicker. Stride length isn't just about legs. It's about your willingness to shift your weight forward, to trust your balance, and that trust is exactly what number 5 is going to rebuild. Number 5. Backward walking. This one feels strange. It feels vulnerable. It feels like something only kids or athletes do, and that's exactly why it works. When you walk backward, your body has no muscle memory to rely on. You can't shuffle. You can't tune out. Every step requires focus, coordination, and a level of balance control that forward walking doesn't demand. In Japanese community health programs, backward walking, sometimes called gyaku aruki, is a standard part of group exercise, especially for people over 60. The movement is taught slowly, often along a wall or railing, and the emphasis is on small, controlled steps. Here's why it matters. Walking backward activates your posterior chain, the muscles along the back of your body, in a completely different way. Your calves, hamstrings, and glutes have to stabilize you without the usual forward momentum. Your core has to engage to keep you upright. And your brain has to process spatial information in reverse, which strengthens the neural pathways that prevent falls when you step off a curb or back away from a counter. Some studies on gait retraining suggest that backward walking can improve forward balance, knee stability, and even reduce lower back pain. It's also been used in rehabilitation settings for people recovering from strokes or surgeries because it forces the nervous system to rebuild motor control from scratch. You don't need much. Start with 10 steps, back and forth along a hallway, with one hand trailing along the wall for safety. Keep your gaze over your shoulder so you can see where you're going. Move slowly. Feel the muscles in your legs working differently. Do this 3 times a week, and within a month, your proprioception, your body's sense of where it is in space, will be sharper than it's been in years. I remember a man named Robert, 68, retired electrician, who had started using a cane after a bout of vertigo left him unsteady. He hated the cane. It made him feel old. I introduced him to backward walking. At first, he could barely manage 5 steps without wobbling. But he practiced. Every morning, 10 steps back and forth in his hallway. After 3 weeks, he put the cane in the closet. He told me it wasn't that his balance had suddenly returned. It was that he'd learned to trust his body's signals again. And backward walking had taught him how to listen. Now, if backward walking resets your spatial control, number 4 resets something even more primitive, and most people have no idea it's even failing. Number 4, the ankle catch reflex. This is not something you think about. It's not something you train. It's automatic, or at least it used to be. When you step on an uneven surface, a rock, a curled rug, a crack in the sidewalk, your ankle has a split second to react. The tendons and ligaments around the joint send a signal to your brain, and your muscles fire to stabilize you before you even register what happened. That's the ankle catch reflex, and after 50, it starts to degrade. The tendons stiffen. The nerve signals slow down. The muscles weaken. And one day, you step wrong, and instead of catching yourself, you roll your ankle, or worse, you go down. In Japan, there's a simple drill taught in senior centers that looks almost silly until you understand what it's doing. It's called Tsumasaki Tachi, or tiptoe standing. You stand near a wall or countertop for support, and you rise up onto the balls of your feet, hold for 3 seconds, then lower back down. You repeat this 10 to 15 times, once or twice a day. That's it. But what's happening inside the ankle is profound. Every time you rise onto your toes, you're loading the tendons and ligaments around the ankle joint. You're waking up the small stabilizer muscles that control side-to-side motion. You're training the nerve pathways that detect instability. And you're building the strength and elasticity that let your ankle respond when the ground is unpredictable. Data from fall prevention programs indicates that ankle strength and range of motion are directly correlated with fall risk. Weak ankles don't just twist more easily. They send delayed signals to the brain, which means your body can't react fast enough to save you. The good news is that this reflex can be restored at any age with consistent, simple practice. Do your tiptoe raises every morning while you're waiting for coffee. Hold on to the counter. Rise slowly, hold, lower slowly. Feel the muscles in your calves and around your ankles engage. If it feels easy, try holding the top position for 5 seconds instead of 3. If it feels hard, start with just 5 repetitions and build up. I guided a woman named Doris, 74, former nurse, who had sprained her ankle twice in 1 year. She was terrified of walking on anything but flat pavement. I taught her tiptoe standing. She did it every day, 15 reps, twice a day for 6 weeks. When she came back, she told me she'd walked on a gravel path for the first time in months and felt completely stable. Her ankle hadn't gotten younger, but it had gotten smarter. Now, your ankles are catching you, but they're only as good as the foundation they're standing on. And that brings us to number 3, which is about what's happening inside your shoes and why it might be destroying your balance. Number 3, barefoot balance. Americans wear shoes almost all the time. We wear them indoors. We wear them on carpet. We wear thick, cushioned sneakers that are supposed to protect us, but they're actually numbing the one part of the body that's designed to give us real-time feedback about the ground. The soles of your feet are packed with nerve endings, more than almost any other part of your body except your hands. Those nerves are constantly sending information to your brain about texture, pressure, angle, stability. That's how your body knows how to adjust your weight without you thinking about it. But when you wrap your feet in foam and rubber, you cut off that information. Your brain stops getting the signals, your balance degrades, and you start to rely on your eyes and your inner ear to do a job your feet used to handle automatically. In Japan, it's common to spend time barefoot indoors. Shoes come off at the door. People walk on tatami mats, wood floors, smooth stone. The feet stay active, sensitive, engaged. And there's a practice, especially for older adults, of standing barefoot on different textures, grass, sand, smooth stones, even textured mats, to keep the nerves in the feet awake. Here's what the evidence suggests. When you remove the cushioning and let your feet feel the ground, your balance improves, sometimes dramatically. Your toes spread and grip. Your arches engage. The small muscles in your feet, the ones that shoes have been doing the work for, start to fire again. This isn't about walking barefoot outside on rough pavement. This is about spending time indoors, on safe surfaces, without shoes or socks, so your feet can remember how to be feet. Start simple. When you're at home, take your shoes off. Walk around your kitchen. Stand at the counter barefoot while you're cooking. If you want to go further, get a textured mat or a balance pad and stand on it for 1 minute a day. You'll feel your feet working, adjusting, stabilizing. It's awkward at first. It might even feel tiring. That's because your feet have been asleep. You're waking them up. I worked with a man named Leonard, 69, retired accountant, who had started feeling unsteady even on flat ground. He wore orthotics in thick, supportive shoes all day, every day. I suggested he spend 20 minutes a day barefoot at home. He thought I was joking, but he tried it. Within 3 weeks, he told me his balance had improved more than it had with 6 months of standard physical therapy. His feet had started talking to his brain again, and his brain had started listening. Now, your feet are awake, your ankles are catching. You're walking with intention, but there's still a direction you're probably not moving in. And it's the direction that predicts falls better than anything else. That's number 2, and it's going to feel awkward the first time you try it. Number 2. Sideways stepping. Think about how you move through a normal day. You walk forward. You walk backward occasionally, maybe when you're parking or reaching for something. But how often do you move sideways? Almost never. And that's a problem, because most falls don't happen when you're walking straight ahead. They happen when you're reaching across your body for something, when you're stepping off a curb at an angle, when you're turning around in a tight space, when you're moving laterally and your body has no practice doing it. In Japanese movement programs for older adults, lateral stepping drills are as common as forward walking. The exercise is simple. You stand with your feet together, then you step to the side with one foot, bring the other foot to meet it, then step again. You move sideways across the room, then reverse direction and move back. It looks like something from a dance class, and in a way, it is. You're teaching your body a movement pattern it's forgotten. Here's why it works. Sideways stepping activates the muscles on the outside of your hips, the abductors, which are responsible for stabilizing you when your weight shifts laterally. These muscles weaken with age, especially if you spend a lot of time sitting. When they're weak, you lose the ability to catch yourself during a sideways stumble, and that's when fractures happen. Lateral movement also challenges your balance in a way that forward walking doesn't. Your base of support is narrower. Your center of gravity shifts with every step. Your brain has to work harder to keep you upright. That extra work is what builds resilience. Research on fall prevention has shown that people who practice lateral stepping drills experience significantly fewer falls, especially falls that result in hip fractures. The improvement can happen quickly. In some cases, people show better lateral stability within 2 weeks of starting a simple daily practice. Here's how you do it. Find a clear space, a hallway, or a room with some open floor. Stand with your feet together. Step to the right with your right foot, about 12 inches. Bring your left foot to meet it. Step again. Do 10 steps to the right, then 10 steps to the left. Keep your torso upright. Don't lean. Don't rush. If you feel unsteady, do this near a wall so you can touch it for support. I guided a woman named Margaret, 71, former teacher, who had fallen twice in 6 months, both times while reaching sideways for something. She was losing confidence. I taught her sideways stepping. She practiced every day, back and forth across her living room, 20 steps each direction. After 2 weeks, she told me she felt more stable turning in her kitchen, stepping into the shower, even getting out of the car. The movement had reprogrammed her nervous system to expect and handle lateral shifts in weight. Now, if you've made it this far, you've learned 5 movements that most American seniors never practice. Your stride is longer. You're walking backward. Your ankles are awake. Your feet are feeling the ground. You're moving sideways. But none of that will matter if you can't do the one thing that separates independent aging from assisted living. That's number 1, and it's the single most predictive movement for how long you'll live on your own terms. Number 1. Sit to stand without hands. This is it. This is the movement that 99% of American seniors avoid, not because they don't want to do it, but because they can't. Somewhere between 50 and 65, most people lose the ability to sit down on the floor and stand back up without using their hands, a chair, or another person. It happens so gradually that you don't notice until one day you're on the floor playing with a grandchild or picking something up, and you realize you're stuck. You need to roll to your knees, grab onto something, pull yourself up. And once you've lost that ability, the data shows something sobering. You're significantly more likely to lose independence, require assistance, and face serious injury from falls. There's a test that came out of research in Brazil that's been replicated across populations worldwide. It's called the sitting-rising test. You sit down on the floor with your legs crossed, then you stand back up, using as little support as possible. You start with 10 points. You lose 1 point for every hand, knee, forearm, or side of your leg you use for support. A score of 8 or higher is associated with significantly lower mortality risk. A score below 3 is associated with much higher risk. The test isn't perfect. It doesn't account for joint injuries or surgeries. But the principle is sound. The ability to get up and down from the floor without help is a direct measure of strength, balance, flexibility, and coordination. It's a full-body movement that requires your legs, core, hips, and brain to work together, and it's exactly the kind of movement modern American life has trained out of us. We sit in chairs. We sleep in high beds. We avoid the floor entirely. In Japan, floor sitting is still part of daily life for many older adults. People sit on cushions at low tables. They kneel. They squat. They get up and down dozens of times a day, and their bodies stay capable because the movement is constant. In Japanese health centers, there's a practice called tatami karatachi, which means rising from the tatami mat. It's taught as a progression, not an all-or-nothing test. You start by sitting on a low stool and standing up without using your hands. Then you lower the stool. Then you sit on a thick cushion on the floor. Then a thinner cushion. Then the floor itself. Each stage builds strength and confidence. The goal isn't to pass a test. The goal is to keep the movement alive in your body so that getting down and getting back up stays automatic. Here's the protocol. If you can already sit on the floor and stand up without hands, practice it once a day to maintain the skill. If you can't, start where you are. Sit in a sturdy chair without armrests. Stand up without using your hands. Do that 10 times. When that feels easy, use a lower chair or a bench. Then try a stack of cushions on the floor. Work your way down over weeks or months. There's no rush. The point is the practice, not the destination. Every time you lower yourself and rise back up, you're training your quads, glutes, core, and balance systems. You're teaching your body that the floor is not a trap. I guided a man named Frank, 73, retired contractor who hadn't sat on the floor in over a decade. He thought his days of getting down there were over. I started him on a low bench. After 4 weeks, he was using 2 cushions. After 8 weeks, he was on the floor, getting up with just one hand for balance. After 3 months, he did it hands-free. He cried. He said it felt like getting a part of his life back, and in a way, it was. The ability to move freely through space, to trust your body to lift you, to not be afraid of the ground. That's not just physical. That's dignity. So here's where we are. You've learned 6 movements that Japanese seniors practice and American seniors ignore. You've learned that your stride length predicts your independence, that walking backward rebuilds your spatial control, that your ankles have a reflex that can be restored, that your feet need to feel the ground, that sideways movement prevents the falls that break hips, and that getting up and down from the floor is the single strongest signal of how long you'll live on your own terms. None of this requires a gym. None of it requires equipment. None of it requires youth. What it requires is the willingness to move in ways your body has forgotten, and the patience to practice until those movements feel natural again. The reason 99% of American seniors avoid these movements isn't because they're hard. It's because no one is teaching them. Our medical system focuses on medication and intervention. Our fitness industry focuses on cardio and weights. But the movements that actually determine whether you'll age with independence, those are hiding in plain sight in cultures that never stopped practicing them. You don't have to move to Japan. You don't have to join a special program. You just have to start. Pick one movement from this list. Just one. Do it tomorrow. Do it the day after that. Let it become part of your routine. Then add another. Then another. In 3 months, your body will remember things it thought it had lost. In 6 months, people will ask you what you're doing differently. In a year, you'll wonder why you waited so long. Now, I want to hear from you one last time. Which of these 6 movements are you going to start with, and why? Drop a comment and let me know. Tell me which one speaks to you, which one scares you, which one you think will make the biggest difference in your life. Let's build a conversation here. Let's help each other age with strength instead of fear.